The first pictures now coming in from Puerto Rico after taking a direct hit. Hurricane Maria slamming into the island, and as you heard, one official saying the island is destroyed.
When I first heard about the hurricane, I was really nervous because it was the largest hurricane in history, and I was really concerned about my family and my friends and how they were gonna overcome what was coming up to them. So I was really terrified and felt kind of useless because I couldn't do anything about it.
My parents, well, my mother and my in-laws were here with us in Baltimore when the announcement was made, and they had been with us for a week. We were celebrating my son's second birthday, and we actually told them not to go back to Puerto Rico, to just stay here, but they all wanted to go to their homes and prep everything, make sure everything was safe. So it's kind of interesting because in a way, a lot of the experiences I had after the hurricane, I always say could have been avoided had they stayed with us, but you know, I completely understand. Of course, they wanted to go back home and make sure everything was safe. So
going to class and trying to pretend that everything was okay was one of the hardest things that I had to do. Just putting on a facade and going about your day pretending like nothing's happening back home when you keep hearing news about people dying and whatnot is just heartbreaking.
So going to class was very much a task. It was hard because nobody quite understood. Everybody was empathetic, everybody was active, but nobody understood how hard it was to not know what was going on back home, if your family was safe.
Yeah, so it was very hard to concentrate on that day, and it was compounded by the fact that it was my mother's birthday the day after the hurricane, and I wasn't really able to speak much with her, and I had a feeling that I wouldn't for a couple of days.
And to this day, I mean, we're more than 60 days in, and we still don't have power. My mom's office still doesn't have power. So I believe that the worst effect, or what affected my family the most, was, not having that normalization or that comfort of knowing that workplaces and homes and every other place where you go is okay and is safe to be in or is operational.
So we have a bakery in Arecibo, in a not in the city center, but in the outskirts of the town, and it's a bakery that has been there. Well, it has changed locations, but we've been operating for over, I would say, 65 years now. And the bakery is located in an area that's more lower income, and it usually is a big service provider to the community. So that had to be obviously closed down for the time that the hurricane hit and the day afterwards. And I think the biggest impact was, for me personally, was hearing the story of our employees at the bakery. And a lot of them lived in homes that, had either zinc rooftops or, were not necessarily made out of concrete. And hearing their stories of loss of property, of families left without a home, I think that's what really affected me the most in the immediate days after, because it was the first stories I actually got to hear.
I think I was really concerned about not during the hurricane, but after the devastation that the hurricane left behind and how many people it hurt. So I was very concerned about their safety, and I know that people get impatient and people get kind of aggressive when they have to wait long hours for something as simple as ice. The main problem that Puerto Rico faces now, 3 months after the hurricane, is that no, everyone stopped talking about it. While there's still people who have to climb up mountains to get water, there's people who have to resort to like donations to get their family through another day. And although I am one of the lucky Puerto Ricans who have access to water, have access to some form of power, there are still people who have to basically go old school and go to the river to get water to drink. You know, it's really devastating that we stopped talking about it, and I think that should be our mission as Puerto Ricans over here at the States, to keep making noise.
So coming back in winter break will be interesting and it will be challenging, I think. The first few days after the hurricane, I kept repeating to all of my friends, whenever, like I broke down a couple of times when talking to some friends, and I kept repeating in the midst of my sobs, like, my home is gone, my home is gone, my home is gone. And everybody kept asking me, like, is your house okay? I'm like, well, my home is not my house. My home is the island. My home is, you know, that street where I go to watch the movies, where I go grab my food, where I go out with my friends. So watching these videos and these pictures, like all these places like inundated or just simply not looking as they used to when I was there, affected me a lot emotionally, because I felt that, again, my home, not my house, but my actual home was gone.
Despite the progress that Puerto Rico might have made from the day the hurricane hit to now, I'm so aware that the Puerto Rico I left was not the Puerto Rico is not the Puerto Rico I'm going back to. So it's gonna be really difficult to see all of the places where I hung out with my friends, I spent time with my family, kind of looks so different. Like, and that's something you don't understand when you read a newspaper article and you're not really attached to it. You see those places and you're like, oh, that's really sad. But when you go there, it's like, this is where I used to sit down and like hang out with my friends. It's a whole nother monster, I would say, that you have to tackle.
Even when you are coming down in the plane, everything that you used to see was so, you know, that amazing green, that was so impactful to see when you were coming down to land to Puerto Rico, into San Juan, that's really not there. It's slowly coming back, but she said that it was pretty shocking sight from someone who's used to traveling back to the island often. So even that I'm a little sad to think about.
If there's something I could say to my island, it would be hang in there. I know it's tough. I mean, home is destroyed, but it doesn't mean that we are not gonna rise above it. And we are a relentless people. We keep pushing forward, and we've made our mark in the world. Coming from a small island in the map, it's very impressive the amount of talent that we have, and we have a lot to offer this world. And I think in short, I would say just sigue, just keep going, because that's the only thing we got. It's home, you know.
Puerto Rico se levanta.
Puerto Rico se levanta.
Puerto Rico se levanta.